Hi, this is Liv Morgan, and you are listening to No One Knows, a deep dive podcast into the mysterious death of Joann Matouk Romain. Last week, we left you with a Q&A with Michelle, Kelly, and Michael, Joann's 3 children who have led this case for the past 14 years. Thousands of people listen to the show every week, but we can't solve this case without the public's participation. There's so much more corruption involved in Joann's case than just her murder. In investigating Joann's murder, we are discovering the corruption and all the reasonings behind it. Because of what Joann saw and reported to local authorities, she lost her life. Last month, we hired a billboard company to advertise our podcast, and it was involved in a hit and run by Bill Matouk Jr. I am made aware of the things that are circulating online, the small man comments he has made about me, the podcast, and Joann's children. I'd like to make this very clear. The recklessness and the obvious disregard for consequences of his actions speak loud. My podcast is an open platform. Everything I say has clear documentation to it. My feelings on this case are separate from what I'm reporting. If this case was based on my feelings, they would already be arrested and the entire Wayne County law enforcement team would be a clear house. My passion and feelings for this case are separate. I am passionate about justice because that is what is right. Everyone deserves to be held to the same standard, even law enforcement. No one is above the law, ever. There is sufficient circumstantial evidence to point towards corruption and an investigation needing to be done. But due to the level of corruption, it's you that we need. We need your help from the public. Every time we post, please share it. Every time you listen to the podcast, share it. They can try and silence one of us, but they can't silence all of us. I truly believe what happened with our billboard was meant to happen. It's what needed to happen to show all of you how a real-time cover-up happens. We've been receiving hundreds of messages. Many of you are angry and you can't believe this has actually happened. You're concerned about the lack of law enforcement. And the sad part is that many of you that are helping us are locals. When I spoke with Detective Adams that Monday after the incident that happened on June 30th, 2024, when the billboard was hit, he was the first detective that was put on the case. I found speaking with Detective Adams disheartening. It was immediately blamed on the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office. If you go back and listen, episode 11 clearly demonstrates this through all of our conversations. Since it wasn't the prosecutor's office's job to investigate, I contacted the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office directly, and of course they sent me back to Grosse Pointe Woods Police, who had initiated the original investigation. My question is, what does the detectives who work at the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office do if they are not hired to investigate? Knowing the process for handling a case is extremely important. As a rule of thumb, if I don't understand something, I'll ask and rephrase it until I understand. I'm not afraid to ask questions because it might just make me seem uneducated or unprepared. I'm not a detective, I'm not a lawyer or an investigator. I'm just asking questions so I can better understand how a process should work. Since the incident that happened on June 30th, I have tried to contact Keith Wazak on many occasions. He oversees all of the detectives in the Grosse Pointe Woods Department. I've left a handful of messages. I've personally gone into the Grosse Pointe Woods Police Department and given them my information with both the records department and the dispatch desk. In addition, let's not forget that during my time on the phone with Detective Adams, I can hear other individuals speaking in the background, but when I asked if they wanted to speak, no one responded. Initially, Detective Adams told me his investigation used my podcast, but now he can't contact me and he refers me directly to his supervisor. But this is the very same Keith Wazak who was listed in the lawsuit of the Romain versus Grosse Pointe Farms. As of today, August 2nd, I have tried to obtain 2 police reports in regards to the billboard company being hit by using the FOIA request. I've attempted to chat with Keith Wazak. I have not been able to have any FOIA requests approved as of today, and I have not heard back. Yesterday, when I did go in, an additional detective came out to speak with me, and this is the information and what we discussed.
Okay, Lynn, I see my ideas of being able to contact you. Keith has been out.
For how long?
I didn't look at the exact time, but he's been gone for a little bit. I can take your number and, tell him that you're trying to get a hold of him.
Yeah, I mean, he's head of the detectives, correct?
He is the lieutenant over all those detectives, yes. Mm-hmm.
Shit's so corrupt, man.
Well, I mean, I know he hasn't been in. I believe he's been on vacation. So, I don't know really much else.
I'll just keep calling, honestly, but I'll give you my information and have him call me. But I'll keep calling and I'll keep leaving him a voicemail.
Let me look and see when he's expected to be.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, because I just called back there and there's nobody. Well, we have court today too until 5 o'clock, so these detectives could be out there over in the courts. Okay, he is due back in the office on August 5th.
Wow.
And he has been gone for a while. He's been out for a while. So I'm just letting you know.
Couple weeks he's been out?
Yeah, he's been gone.
Wow.
So, if you want to give him a call back on August 5th.
So there's just nobody here that will take his workload if he's...
You have to ask him about if he's got a backup. The detectives
are separate.
We're separate. Yeah, I work in the records department. I don't know what's going on in the detective bureau. But you can always ask them in your absence, if I need a detective, who do I call? You can always ask them for a recommendation who you should talk to.
Okay, that works.
Okay, all right, let me know when you're done with that.
Okay, I'll be done in just a second. Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Oh, okay, guess what? I found a detective. Keith has been in and he's been gone for a little bit.
Okay, cool.
But Detective Mitchell is coming up here to talk to you.
Okay, cool. Mitchell.
Marty Mitchell. He's a detective. He works under Keith. He's one of Keith's detectives.
Okay.
He's with us. He said he would come up here. Give him a few minutes.
Cool. Thank you. Hi.
I just passed. I just said
I know.
hi to you.
I just said hi to him too.
Keith is my boss.
Okay.
What can I do for you? He's been in. Yeah, he is not avoiding. He's been in and out crazy. He's actually on vacation with his family right now, and he's our detective lieutenant. He's our boss, but he's also like the detective. He's also the department assistant chief kind of thing.
Okay.
So he's got other duties and stuff.
Yeah, it makes sense.
What can I do for you?
So there was an incident that occurred June 30th.
Is this something that he's investigating for you?
So you guys had a Detective Adams, that was on the case.
Okay.
And
he's actually here today.
Yeah, he's
doing something or other. I don't know. Anyway, go
yeah. I've been trying to get in contact with Wazak for a month as of yesterday.
He will be back Monday for sure.
Okay.
Do you have his email?
I've tried leaving messages. Detective Adams has tried leaving my information with him.
Okay.
I did just fill out another FOIA. It was a hit and run with intent to harm and kill.
Oh. Okay.
So.
Has anybody given you his email? Because I'm going to give you his email.
Yeah, if you want to give it to me.
Is there a piece of paper?
Yeah, you want to use this? You can use this one. You want to just put it on there for me?
Okay. We all have.
And I'm just trying to understand the chain of command here because the gentleman should have been arrested that night.
Well, that's something that he can discuss with you as part of the case. So, I mean, if there was proof that
somebody had photos.
Let me just say, if whatever investigation that you were part of, or if an arrest is available to be made and it is deemed necessary, then he is arrested. If not, that means that the charges can be submitted later. And this is something that he can discuss with me because I don't know any of the details. But I'm going to give you his email address.
Okay, perfect.
This is all lowercase, as you know.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
Because I can't read lowercase.
That's okay.
His name is Wazak, so it's WASZAK. And because all of our names it's the first initial and last name, and it's at gpwmi.us.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, and obviously you know our numbers, right? 343-2412.
Yeah.
Okay,
I just Google it when I need it.
Oh, well, 313-343-2412 is our detective bureau. Okay.
Okay,
2410, if you're obviously a resident here in town, right?
I'm not, no.
Oh, you're not? Okay, well,
Nope.
2410 is dispatch.
So it was my billboard company that,
Oh, okay.
are you familiar with it now?
You talk about Matouk, what's his name? And,
That whole shit show?
I'm not involved in that in any way, but I am aware.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Kay wants
So that was my other question is Wazak has had, that's what I'm also worried about, is like a conflict of interest.
There really isn't any. There's no, I can't
So who
comment. That is he's essentially our assistant chief.
Who's your guys' chief?
Well, it's John Kosanke's our chief, and he's around. I can write his name down too if you want.
Yeah, if you want to write his info, just, I don't know how to spell Kosanke.
Yeah, it's easy. I stare at his name tag every time he yells at me. John Kosanke. And it's the same number if you wanted to talk to him.
Okay, perfect.
You could dial 2410.
Awesome.
2410 gets you straight to a person in dispatch.
Okay,
so you don't have to
perfect.
go through the phone tree system.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
No problems. Yeah, I can't comment on, let's just say we've been well aware of this family for a good amount of our careers.
So I was also concerned, and I want to make sure that I bring it to everybody's attention. The person that witnessed the incident occur, got it on photo, also witnessed a drug deal. And I'm concerned for the...
Don't know anything about that, but...
So that's what I gave the other officer the license plate.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that those kids they were young kids in the car that were driving. And I'm just concerned if...
Okay, again, I don't know what you're talking about, but that's okay.
Right before the incident occurred,
Okay.
there was a drug deal that was displayed, and
Was this part of the Matouk stuff, or this was a separate?
This is the same day. So the bystander, that's what she saw first, which is why she took a photo.
Okay. I mean, there is an investigator assigned to this case, so it's,
Like I said, I was concerned about the children. They looked young. They looked probably maybe between 15 and 17.
Driving age, because one of them was driving, right?
Yeah, in a Jeep. I have the license plate, but I gave it to them, and I never heard anything back. So I just wanted to make sure the kids were okay. And
well, I'm sure they were, but that's something you could discuss with Keith.
Okay.
And
He'll be back
obviously,
Monday?
he will be back Monday morning.
Okay.
His, Miles Adams is the detective assigned.
yeah, he won't speak to me anymore.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I didn't know that was a thing, but
I don't know. I'm not involved. I got my own business going.
Right.
Okay. Let Keith know whatever you need to email him.
okay, I will do so. Thank
Get on
you.
Monday when you return.
Thank you so much for your help.
You're welcome, dear.
Have a good one.
You're welcome.
Bye.
So let's rewind to a year ago. 3 kids end up dead from a possible drug overdose laced with fentanyl. But I feel like there's another connection here and how these drugs are playing a role in the Grosse Pointe Woods community.
3 employees at a Grosse Pointe Woods pizzeria died over the weekend, leaving residents wondering what in the world happened.
Now, some are speculating it might be related to the fentanyl crisis that is plaguing many communities in our area, but police don't seem convinced just yet. We go now to Sean Lay, and Sean, police have warned about drug use in this area before, correct?
Back in 2020, let's start right there, Christy. Yes, police in the Grosse Pointes put out the alarm, an alert for everyone that they were finding cocaine laced with deadly fentanyl linked to deaths in this area. Now, here at Grosse Pointe Woods Public Safety, we've been asking questions, and we have 3 people who passed away, died over the weekend, young people. There is no cause of death yet, so there is no warning here coming from this particular police department. However, 3 deaths Saturday, all 3 are friends. 2 of their friends died a few weeks ago. That's 5 people recently right here in Grosse Pointe Woods. People here want to know what is going on.
Everybody wants to know what happened so that they can have informed conversations with their children.
Jane Berger wants Grosse Pointe Woods Public Safety to issue a public health emergency, an urgent warning to young people that drugs, like cocaine, making its way through this area is possibly laced with deadly fentanyl. After Saturday night, Berger watched police and EMS rush to the house next door on a call that a young woman here was found dead.
We're just really sad. We're really sad
But that is just the beginning. Saturday night, that same caller directing police to the woman found dead at this home, along with a young man and woman found dead at a home just blocks away on Canterbury.
Caller is still on the phone reporting both addresses, possible overdoses.
As officers and medics rush to both homes, police issuing a dire warning to those first responders.
All officers take caution, extreme caution with the fentanyl. Possible fentanyl.
Tonight, friends tell us all three worked at Saucy's Pizza on Mac. The pizza place posting, over the weekend, our family lost 3 young, beautiful members. Friends tell us 2 women found dead are sisters. The young man, a close friend, all in their 20s. But in May, another friend from this same group, we are told, died, friends say, from a fentanyl overdose. And the sisters who died over the weekend, one of their friends just lost one of her sisters, we are told. Friends say all ran in the same circles and went out to the same area bars.
We got one down on the porch on Canterbury. Yeah, one down on the upper level bedroom.
Step 1 is don't do drugs, but step 2 is if they're laced with fentanyl or some other really lethal drug, I mean, people need to understand that so they can really think extra hard.
Think extra hard in that type of situation. Look, we're here at Grosse Pointe Woods Public Safety. The director here confirming to me they do have 3 death investigations going on now for those 3 deaths over the weekend of those young people, but there is no cause of death as of yet. They're asking if people out there have any information that can help them, please come forward to this police department. In the meantime, Christy and Devin, Saucy's Pizza, from their social media posts are saying what they're making there today in profits are going to go to 3 funerals or help with 3 funerals.
This is really difficult, Sean. I understand, though, that you reached out to the DEA about this. What did they have to say?
First thing we did today, and they didn't know about this. They want to know about this. They want to hear from police departments when they get these kind of cases. They can trace where the fentanyl is coming from, or where if this is cocaine and fentanyl, where it's coming from, who's dealing it. They have that part. They can trace that and investigate. But they also are very good at getting the word out. They will sound the alarm that, look, we are finding this in the community. You need to know about it.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks. Sean Lay reporting for us tonight.
Despite the incident with our billboard truck, I still remain concerned about the girls that were driving around outside of Woods Wholesale Wine and the handoff that occurred with Billy Matouk Jr. Grosse Pointe Woods and Farms have been affected and have had issues with lace drugs in the past. It's an ongoing problem that has received much of our attention. If you're struggling with substance abuse or mental health concerns, you can contact 1-800-662-4357. No boundaries, no age, no race, and no economic status can disgrace against drugs. Let me break this down for you. Keith Wozak, at the time of Joann being missing, was to, quote, "My job was to interview individuals and see if we could find anything, basically to locate Joann Matouk, her whereabouts," end quote. Keith Wozak was in charge of investigating and interviewing the individuals who were brought forward on a list that was given to officials by Joann's children. On the list was David Romain, who was Joann's husband, John Matouk, who was Joann's youngest brother, Tim Matouk, who was Joann's first cousin and also a detective at the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office, and in addition to that, Bill Matouk, who is Joann's brother as well, who owns the wine store. Out of that list of 4 individuals to start with, who do you think that he actually spoke with? Here is directly from Keith Wozak's deposition in 2015.
Why is it that you interviewed David Romain?
Because he was husband of Joann Romain.
Was there anybody in particular who told you, hey, you may want to go interview David Romain? Or was this just something that you or Sergeant Pazikowski decided on your own, given the fact that he was the husband, as you said?
I believe speaking with family, we found out David Romain was the husband, and being that he's a husband, perhaps he had information, so we go talk to him.
He told you all about this court proceedings that were going on downtown that day, or on the night that she disappeared, right?
Yes, that's what they reported.
Did anybody ever tell you, let me rephrase that, did anybody in Joann Matouk Romain's family ever tell you who they believe might be a suspect?
Yes.
And which names were given to you by whom, please?
It was all the contact that pretty much had was with Michelle.
The lady sitting to my right?
Yes.
Okay, and whom did she identify as a possible suspect in wanting Joann Matouk Romain to disappear?
At first it was, I believe it's written somewhere in the report that she believes it was either to look into, she never named them out specific, but she said you need to look into her dad, David, then John, and then Tim.
Did you indeed?
Bill. I think it was those four.
So David, John, Bill, and Tim.
Correct.
Did you indeed interview any of them?
Yes.
Whom did you interview, please?
I interviewed David and John.
Not Bill?
No.
Do you know if anybody interviewed Bill?
Not that I know.
Did you try to interview Bill?
No, I did not.
Did you try to interview Tim?
No, I did not.
Did you ever discuss this case with Tim?
No, I did not.
Did you ever discuss this case with Bill?
No, I did not.
When you spoke to John and David, was it because Michelle suggested that they might be suspects?
They either suspects that she believes, or they may have information to lead me in the direction of locator.
So she gave you 4 names and you only contacted 2 of the names that she gave you, is that
correct?
Do you know if anybody else from your department reached out to either Bill or Tim?
Yes.
Who?
And that would be Detective Sergeant Pazowski.
Whom did he contact? Was it Bill, Tim, or both?
Both, I believe.
So he actually spoke to Bill and Tim about Joann's disappearance.
To what detail was spoken, I do not know.
That's not asking about detail, but Pazikowski discussed with Bill and with Tim in some way something about the disappearance of Joann.
If you know.
If you know.
I would say yes.
Keith Wozak was in charge of investigating and talking to the individuals who were brought forward as persons of interest from the family, but left out 2 main really important people, letting Andrew Pazikowski conduct those interviews. I think there's a large conflict of interest when it comes to the community and how Bill has offered financial discounts to law enforcement officers at his Woods Wholesale Wine Store on Mack Avenue. Then these very officers are supposed to interview him? Let me get this clear. Bill Matouk and Tim Matouk were never interviewed in the case of Joann Matouk Romain, despite the rocky relationship stemming from a stolen inheritance and Joann's feelings for Tim, calling him, quote, a sick fuck, end quote. William Matouk and Timothy Matouk were never given polygraph tests in regards to the death of Joann Matouk Romain. John Matouk was given a polygraph test, and it came back clear with no signs of deception. David Romain, Joann's soon-to-be ex-husband, also took a polygraph test, and during that test, only one area showed deception. It was on the question asking him if the affair he had with Joann's best friend began before or after him and Joann had decided to separate. If you see any depositions with Tim and Bill Matouk, it's odd. They go back and forth between believing Joann was, in quotes, fragile and probably committed suicide based on the footprints only pointing to the water and not coming back. But they also continue to contradict themselves. You will hear many times throughout saying that John Matouk had bad business dealings and a checkered past. They claim that John's bad business and his checkered past led to Joann's death. I have left you with some breadcrumbs as to how inheritance and lawsuits created such a rift in the family. But before we get there, I want to emphasize something important. He goes by the name of Bill Randall, and I finally got the chance to contact him. The first time I reached out, I left a message. I called again just a few days later, leaving another message. I was letting him know that I wanted to talk to him in regards to what he had said on Unsolved Mysteries. But let me take you back to Joann's investigation at the beginning. Bill Randall was hired by Michelle, Kelly, and Michael Romain, Joann's children. Bill Randall is a 33-year retired FBI agent. And let's remember, Joann's case is 14 years old. We are talking about the early days of the investigation where Joann's children knew something was off but had no reason to not trust law enforcement yet. Fair warning, my conversation with Bill Randall didn't turn out as I had planned. Part of that is because the entire situation really just pissed me off. I think you'll hear it in my voice. Despite meeting the victim who brought forth the accusations against Tim Matouk, Bill Randall went on Unsolved Mysteries and said something specific. It was reported to me through a few of my sources that Bill Randall claimed he had been compromised after Unsolved Mysteries. But I need to note, I have no proof of that. That's just word of mouth. So I asked him, did Unsolved Mysteries cut out or change what you had said? How did you go from working directly with the kids, sitting at dinner with them, working closely, creating a trusting relationship, to going on national TV about Joann's case and saying that Tim Matouk was a credible individual despite everything you know? Here's my conversation with Bill Randall.
Hello.
Hi, Bill. It's Liv. How are you?
Good. Hi, Liz.
Good. I spoke with you yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to touch back base with you. I just want to... I don't like the way we left that conversation.
Okay.
I feel like it came off in a way that was very... Like when I had mentioned to you that somebody had said you were compromised, like the first thing that was mentioned was legal action. And I'm like, that
Right.
like left me with a bad taste in my mouth.
Okay.
And I'm just trying to understand, like at the end of the day, I'm trying to get to the bottom of, you know, Joann's case. And I know we talked at length about that yesterday.
I totally understand. No, here's the thing, Liz, just so you understand. For me, it's a matter of integrity with the FBI, and for someone to say that I've been compromised, I don't take that very lightly. I take that as an attack and as an insult. Personally, that's me. Now, that if I came on kind of harsh, I didn't mean to, but I also meant you to understand that my years of service. I don't take that. I take that to heart.
Mm-hmm. The only thing I just, like, somebody you told me was credible said that. So that's why I'm just, like, I'm trying to figure out, like...
I don't know who that person is. I can't answer. I can't answer that, Liz, to be honest with you. I don't know. Matter of fact, I was going to reach out and find out a little bit, thank you a little bit more, find a little bit more about you. So I haven't done that yet, but I probably will at some point in time.
Okay.
Just talk on the phone, for that matter. You know what I'm saying? So... Again, it's a matter of trust, and that's why I said, yeah, you're welcome to these records as long as it's Michelle's property. If she signs off and you get a signature notarized, I'll be happy to give you everything I've got. That's not a problem. I just didn't care for the fact that you came out and I took it as almost a bit of an attack or accusatory that I'm not on the up and up. And that doesn't sit well with me at all.
I mean, you have to think, too, from the standpoint of, like, I've been looking into the case for this long now,
That's fine.
And then I go on Netflix and I watch a specific part. I guess it just didn't sit well with me, too, because
It didn't sit well with me, but again, you were not there, number one. Number two, this guy was not in the best of conditions, in my opinion, and I'm not a professional psychologically. I was not going to push any further, okay? And for me to go on and accuse somebody of being a child molester, that's, again, as I'll reiterate to you, like I said the other day, that's for Michelle. That was for her attorneys to do once they had this guy deposed. He could tell me anything, and it could be retracted, okay?
So, okay, as a PI, if you are hired, what legally do you have to report? Like, are you considered a mandated reporter? How does that work?
No. What do you mean? I'm not sure what you're throwing out these terms. What do you mean mandated reporter?
So, like, for instance, when it comes to, like, finding out that Tim Matouk was accused of molestation towards a child, is that something, like, as a PI, like, you would just turn that over to whoever hired you and then you send that to whoever, or how does that work?
Michelle was working with the law firm. I felt it was in the best interest, instead of me. There's not much more I could do with it. And again, like I told you before, this guy was in a very fragile state. And it just, in my opinion, and I'm not a professional, but I was not going to push him any further. I explained that to Michelle. I told it to her, and I said, if she wants to follow up with that with the attorneys, I wasn't going to go into,
Tim Matouk.
How were you molested, where were you molested, how many times you were molested. And it really was not relevant to, obviously, Joann's disappearance, but again, we were looking at different things about ways to try to approach people to get someone to cooperate or admit to whatever they may have done.
I don't know.
So,
I guess just hearing that he was credible, I sat on it all night and I'm like, what the, like, is there something I'm missing?
I am not gonna make allegations against somebody when there's nothing on the record. He's talking to me. Do you understand that? He's talking to me, but he's not on the record officially. He hasn't been deposed and been put under oath or anything along those lines.
So my question, now he has come forward and he was deposed, and that's where I'm just like, there was still nothing done.
Okay, well, let's stop right there. He was deposed. None of that information was ever shared with me by Michelle.
Okay, so what would you think about?
Even if I was, I don't think that it's my responsibility that I should come forward and accuse somebody of being a child molester. If you've been charged, that's one thing. If someone's officially been charged, that becomes a matter of liability, and I could then be sued for something like that. So no, absolutely not. I would not be involved in something along those lines. No.
It's just, I just am having such a hard, and that's my thing too. Like, knowing that now, what would you, what could have been different, or what would you say now? Knowing that, and he's been deposed,
nothing. Why did if there was enough there to it to charge somebody, to make those, then the state police or whomever they referred this to, they should have taken a look at it and they should have addressed it. That's not I can't charge anybody as a PI. You can't charge anybody. I don't have the authority.
No, I get that. I think I think at this point, you and I probably see different on the...
Correct. Absolutely. Sure. And you have your right to your opinion.
Well, no, and I just think that I'm going to be very blatantly honest, and I don't mean this in a crude or harsh way. I think having any inkling of somebody's character, you were hired by the family to look into somebody's character, and somebody did come forward and say that, my response on national TV would be different.
Well, okay. But again, he came forward and said this to me. Now, listen again. There was nothing. He told this to me. I'm not an agent any longer, and it's not something. If you lied to me, that you could be charged with a 1001 violation. I could just report. I gave the information to Michelle, and I said, I suggest you get with your attorneys, and you get this guy deposed, and you can get all the information you need. But again, he was in a. If you were there at that point in that snapshot in time when I was there with him, his state, his mental state, in my opinion, was not one where I wanted to push him too far. I think he felt a little uncomfortable because, again, this information was not shared with me by Michelle. I don't know. Maybe he came to accept it a little bit more.
I think maybe, too, it was probably he respected you and he was confiding in you, and he was probably looking to you for support.
I gave him support, but the last thing I'm going to do is turn around and come out and make some kind of allegations against somebody.
It's so wild to me. Everybody knows somebody who's been raped, but nobody knows a rapist.
Well, but there you go. If he said, she said.
It's not a he said, she said. I mean, it's really not. If a victim comes forward, there's been thousands of cases prosecuted for sexual assault with no physical evidence, no nothing, because victims come forward years down the road or years later. So that's what I'm just having. And then the other thing that really stuck with me too is when you kept saying that was in a fragile state. I've only ever heard those words come out of Tim Matouk's mouth.
I'm telling you based upon when I talked with him, his personality, and he was a very fragile, skittish. He was kind of, I don't want to say unsure of himself. I think he was more maybe kind of, he felt embarrassed in that. And it was the kind of thing that it made me uncomfortable. I didn't want to push for too many details, other than it was pretty obvious to me that obviously he had gone through something psychologically that was very hurtful and damaging to him and harmful, and I was not going to push it any further. So I hope you can understand, and you have to maybe be there for me to to really appreciate. I was trying to be helpful, but yet protective of him.
Okay, so when you spoke, what was your advice that you gave him that he should do from a legal standpoint, from a PI?
I didn't give him any advice. He didn't ask for any advice. He gave me information. I thanked him. I said, are you okay? Is everything fine with you? He said, yeah, everything's fine. And again, it was not something where I'm saying, well, you need to go to the police and you need to do this. No, that's not something that I felt I should do. And I left. That's why I said to Michelle, I was trying to keep him calm, cooperative, and talkative, yet calm.
Yeah.
Because he was very...
like I said, I'm not a PI. I'm just a podcaster, but I guess
totally get it, but
my approach is different. I'm like, listen, if you fucking molest a child, like...
Well, but you know what? You can say that, but unless you were there to see him... Now, maybe if you've spoken to him...
I mean, I've put all on the podcast that Tim Matouk is a child molester. He hasn't sued me yet. You want to know why? Because then I would get open discovery, and I would be able to connect him to Joann's murder and all of the corruption that's going on with all of the departments.
But here's the thing. You can do that now. You can call him a child molester because you had somebody under oath being deposed saying that he was molested by Tim Matouk.
And you want to know the crazy part is nobody did anything. And I hate to say it to be like that, but every single person that failed him. Every single person.
Listen, Liz, you're preaching to the choir. You're shooting the salesman here. You're shooting the messenger. I did what I could do. I could not go on at that point in time, and say that he's a child molester or anything. Okay, not a therapist, not anybody else. No physical evidence from a doctor or anything.
So, okay. So I want to know, explain to me in your eyes as a PI, aside from this, what made you recognize the credibility within Tim Matouk? What made you feel that he was credible?
Credibility.
What was it?
There was nothing. There was nothing that he told me that led me to believe. Can I say 100%? No, I cannot.
Okay.
I could not.
No, it's so hard. And it's so hard because, I can only see what Netflix posted. So, were you thorough with all of this, what you said, and they cut it out to make it seem like, this more...
They asked me specific questions. That's all I can tell you. And again, I'm going off the top of my head now. They asked me specific questions about Tim Matouk and, the case. And it was... I was there for 2 hours with them taping, and if I was on for 30 seconds, if that, I'm lucky. Not that I really care. So they took whatever they felt that they needed to portray their story, and that's what they used.
I think that's a clear way to say it. It was a story they were portraying for views, not the actual story.
They portrayed whatever they wanted to portray. Okay, when you come out and kind of attack my integrity, you're barking at the wrong tree, and you really kind of you set my horns up. So I think that's where this thing went.
I mean, if I'm from the outside looking in and I'm saying, oh, this PI worked with the family for 7 years, and then
what all you've been told by Michelle, or how truthful, or
I've spoke with all of the kids. I mean, I can tell Michelle showed me the last text she sent to you in 2020 when she saw the airing of Netflix, and she felt betrayed. She felt like you knew the family, you knew Michelle, you knew Kelly, you knew Michael, you knew how hard they were fighting, and
absolutely
your testimony, and I'm saying that in quotes, your testimony on Netflix, I think really set things it truly set things back for them, because then now people are looking at them going, okay, well, you hired this person to look into things, and the things that you had found out were not mentioned on Netflix, which is why I asked you if there were certain things that were left out, or, you know.
That's Netflix. That's got nothing to do with me, okay? Because now you've got somebody under oath, videotaped, and it's there, and now you can take this to the authorities and do with it what you want. As opposed to, and again, my concern at the time was the fact that this guy came forward when he did to tell me in an indirect way inferences about being molested. And again, I was trying to be protective and be very kid gloves with him. I was trying to be I didn't want to set him off. I didn't know where he was with going through therapy or whatever it was he was going through. I didn't want to set him back years.
So did he go in depth about any of the assault with you?
No, he did not, and I didn't pursue it. This is on me. My judgment, I didn't feel it was necessary to pursue it any further, other than to know that he said that he had been molested, and I didn't ask him what fashion or anything else. No, and it was left at that. And that's when I gave the information to Michelle. I said, you need to talk to your attorneys, get this guy deposed, and do with it what you want from that point on.
We have no way of knowing what happened or why Bill Randall stands by what he stated on Unsolved Mysteries. I will never protect anyone who's been accused of sexual assault. Like I mentioned in my recording with him, everyone knows someone who's been a victim of sexual assault, but no one claims to know a rapist. Clearly, Bill Randall and I have a difference of opinion on what credibility means. When I look at the credibility of somebody, I look at the entire picture, not just one scenario. So I ask you, the listeners, how do you define credibility?